Let me give floor to Girds Berziņš, who is the head of digital strategy for the Swedbank Group overall, and that means Swedbank Group overall, and also importantly the co-chair of our Digital Transformation Committee. And I'll use this opportunity to introduce Ilya as our second chair of co-chair of the Digital Transformation Committee. Yep. Over to you.
Thank you. Really good to see all of you here, and thank you for introduction. I think I have one of the most interesting jobs in the bank. I'm responsible to look what are things in outside world which are affecting industry and what actions we should take into our agenda. So I'm a bit responsible where Swedbank is moving. And today you have opportunity to have a bit of insight what I am telling to my colleagues. So it's interesting, I think, for our colleagues from SEB as well to see. But today the world is becoming more and more open, so it's very hard to keep some things inside. So yes, I think if we speak about Baltics and banking, the first buzzword what comes, as in many countries, is this fintech. Yeah, so fintech Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. But I would say that this is nothing new for Baltics, because banking basically started as fintech. Because if you, I think you all remember, so this auditorium is a bit more mature than some of others. But if you remember 90s where banking really started, I think it was a time of banks were acting like today fintechs are acting. So, and it was not, technologies were used, I would say, not to take customers from each other, but technologies were used to capture customers, because 90s nobody had the experience about modern banking. So this is a bit different from today, that I think some of fintechs are inspired by stories of 90s and think that, oh, now we will take customers from SEB, from Swedbank. Story is not so easy, because 90s market was empty. I would say it was, obviously it was a revolution in economics. And when a revolution happens, then obviously for those who are with a bit more better tools, those can capture some fruits from this revolution. Today, do we have revolution? So if we have revolution, then obviously some redistribution can happen. But where banks are today, so we heard some stories that yes, 200 regulations and so on. And not only this, obviously banks have grown in size substantially from 90s. I remember it was around year 2000 when we did the bank core system migration in Hansa Bank, and it was not so easy, but it was still manageable. And I really admire SEB who did this banking migration, banking core system migration today, which is much harder, because you have much bigger customer base and much more tied into online services. So banks today, I would say, are obviously, we know the stories, banks are slow and so, but there are very many objective factors why banks are unfortunately so slow, because now banks in Baltics are a bit more similar to average banks in the world, because in 90s banks were very kind of easy to run, because not so many customers, not legacy at all. So all IT systems were fresh and new. Nowadays we are a bit more in this spaghetti situation. Yeah? But yes, about revolution. But because if again, if I quote myself now, if there is a revolution, then something serious can happen. And there is, I would not say that there is revolution maybe exactly in banking, but there is now a revolution going around the whole economy or whole world, because yes, Sandra said that it's one word is uncertainty. Another word is I've heard that it's dislocated world. So a world as it used to be before, it's not exactly like it's something is dislocated. And obviously some things will be put back in right order, but will the whole organism be as it was before, it's very high doubts. Why? Because first of all, what has substantially changed? First of all, it's obviously the speed of developing of technologies. We know this Moore's law that each second or now each 2.5 years, productivity of IT systems are doubling. So are we taking those results? Maybe not, but these opportunities are doubling each year and doubling each second year. So doubling each second year means that this pace is not linear. People are used to linear thinking that, okay, today I'm making one step, tomorrow one step, so I can predict. But if I'm today making one step today, two, then 4, 8, and so it's harder to imagine. And out of this technological development, many things have changed. And not only technology, but as well on political scene, we see that there is a huge growth of intolerance. So there is growth of radicalism. And some of futurologists say that actually this intolerance will dominate for next 100 years. Why? Because people are seeking for the new world order, because order what was working yesterday is not fitting into today. We will return to the question some of reasons why it is so. And roots or saying that, okay, I have been 100 or 200 or 300 years around, it actually creates today even distrust, because you are representative from this old world. We are looking for something new. So many companies need to kind of rediscover the dialogue with customers. So nowadays it's not working that you are teaching somebody. So customers are now looking more for partners who are not sitting across the table, but who are sitting on the same side of the table, literally. So it is said that basically we are living in times of fourth industrial revolution. And there is very interesting think tank, World Economic Forum. So if you are interested more in that type of thinking, I really welcome you to look in those resources. And one of the founders of this World Economic Forum said that basically this fourth industrial revolution will affect very essence of human experience. So every aspect will basically be challenged. So, and obviously banking is one of aspects which will be challenged. And basically what is challenged, it's even world economic order. So when 90s happened, obviously Baltic countries turned towards capitalism. Yeah? So it was this shareholder capitalism and in its pure essence. But now the whole world is actually upgrading concept of capitalism towards 2.0, so stakeholder capitalism. So we are much more aware who are stakeholders in equity, but it's not the final stop. It's said that we are moving towards ecosystem economy, that instead of creating products and extracting value from customers by selling products, world or companies are moving towards co-creating products, co-creating with customers, co-creating with partners, and then sharing this newly created value. So this is a very dramatic philosophical change. What is happening around, and not only philosophical change, it's quite practical change. These are two videos, and difference from them is only 1 or 2 years. So first, it's video from Audi factory in Mexico. Audi was very proud to launch a new factory in Mexico when they launched Audi Q5. Yeah? So they said that now robots are working hand in hand with humans. Yeah? So instead of producing spare parts somewhere around the world and then shipping them towards assembly line, so there are 3D printers and you are printing, and robots are helping humans. Then Elon Musk came and he created his mega factory only 1 or 2 years later, and his concept is that there are no humans in factory. So there is robots hand in hand, there is no human. So actually later you can see some human in this factory, but what has changed? Here robots are helping humans, but in a Tesla factory humans are helping robots. So this is dramatic fundamental change, that basic operations or Or even now we will speak later about those robots in customer service. I strongly believe that in very few years, first line for mass service will be robots, and the first line will be covered by robots, and second line will support those robots who are supporting humans. So very, very dramatic changes what are happening in the world, and it's within only 1 or 2 years time frame. So if this year you feel at some point that your manager looks a bit robotish, that you are probably one of 3 million workers which are supposed to have robo bosses this year. So that's not only that robot is somewhere in basement or assembly line. Now you can have a robo boss. And then obviously different statistics predictions that how many jobs will be replaced in coming years. Obviously this calls for some changes in how states are run. So one of great guys, Bill Gates, he came with a concept that he said that how state was constructed, it was constructed on a completely different assumption of productivity, of completely different assumption what we are taxing. We are taxing economic subjects to extract money to finance well-being and so on. But now if those taxable objects are becoming not humanized, so this object of taxation is suddenly dropping out. So will we have this opportunity to finance this welfare if we are not substantially changing how we even tax our productivity? So Bill Gates is arguing that actually we need to tax not only humans but as well robots. How to do it? It's obviously a very big challenge. Another thinker or doer, I would say more, is Elon Musk, and he is much more crazy than Bill Gates, obviously. And but he is even more scared from robots. Elon Musk is scared because robots can take over humanity, as he thinks. And what humans could do? Humans, by his thinking, should beat robots by becoming more robotized. So he argues that, and he created a special company which will make neuro interface into your brain towards computer. So a human will be computerly enhanced, but then on that scale, human will match robot. But then, as he is human, he will be a bit more advanced. Yeah? So how you can beat enemy is adapt what your enemy is doing, but have some steps ahead. So no, this is obviously very interesting and challenging concept, and we know that he even thinks that we are living in this movie Matrix. So okay, but. Some of predictions are a bit more calming down. So Gartner, which is one of distinguished research companies, says that in 2020, so it's in 2 years or 3 years, artificial intelligence will create 2.3 million new jobs and will eliminate only 1.8 million jobs. But we must understand that this is not the same jobs. So what it means that there will be huge push towards humanity to find a new way where you could be employed and find obviously sources who can finance you in this new job. And this is illustration why it's fourth industrial revolution. So each time when we apply some technology and apply it in mass scale, some big changes are happening. So first industrial revolution with steam powers and mass production, then third revolution when we started to use computers to automate our jobs. But now it's really the fourth industrial or second information revolution. Why? Because so far we used computers to run algorithms what humans have written for computers. Now computers have reached the stage, or computing has reached the stage when you should not even tell full algorithm. You can give machine direction and machine is learning itself. So it's obviously huge step ahead. And as in each step of a revolution, some substantial changes happened in society, we can surely say that big changes are ahead of us in society as well. But okay, now about banking. So this is a banking event, and this is my prediction about banking when changes will happen. What it illustrates? It illustrates that banking now lives in simultaneously in three models how we service customers. So first the model is that yes, customer is coming to us, then we put a human interface to the customer, and customer is happy, like branches or contact center. So this is very traditional way. Obviously, we know that banks have learned how to create this self-service. So this first wave of information revolution was used to create self-service for customers. Now we need less and less humans to support customers with transactions. But there is third wave coming, and this third wave is coming with putting robot in the first line of service, and then this it will change, I would say, interface, user interface with customer, and not only in banking. I believe across all industries, first line of customer servicing, mass customer servicing, will be robotized, and this is not click through. So now, yes, you need to create very intuitive interface, and humans are repeatedly clicking through 2 steps, 3 steps, whatever steps, and getting to result. Here, you will have a personalized, individual robo assistant for everyone. And this robo assistant will learn your habits, and next day will click through instead of you. So this is what is coming, and this is a big paradigm shift, because we must understand that each time when big changes happened in user interface, there was redistribution of those who are in service industry and who are not. Because if you remember what happened 10 or now 11 years ago, first iPhone was presented, but iPhone was not a phone. iPhone was changing user interface. And actually, if you look in Steve Jobs' presentation, his first words were about revolution in user interface, but nobody kind of recorded at that time. Now you can understand. But iPhone is here. Here is something new. Here is Alexa or Cortana or something else. So big revolution is happening in customer interface as well. And economy as such, as I hinted before, is moving towards this sharing economy, to this co-creational economy. And instead of seeing each other as I would say enemy or no, competitor is very nice word. Mostly we saw each other as enemies. Nowadays we see each other as more like symbiotic partners. Yeah? So instead of competing for something, let's co-create something for well-being of whole economy, and then sharing this newly generated value. And yes, about banking, yeah, so this is probably banking and looking how to get the speed. So obviously those changes, what I have highlighted, we need to get the speed. And obviously just with saying that tomorrow we will just run a bit faster is not enough, because we need to run linearly, not linearly, but exponentially faster. But luckily there is a new approach around the corner, and this new approach around the corner is moving from this ecosystem world to ecosystem world. Yeah, from trying to do everything yourself, creating your product, selling only in your channels, and fighting anybody else who tries to capture your customer airtime with co-creating. So one direction is, if you see that you have great product base, and why not SAB customers should enjoy our brilliant payment services. So let's add our payment services into other interfaces. So this is product house concept. Another concept is, if you have secured very good digital marketplace, then why only sell your own products? and why only maybe sell only which is purely banking, maybe some steps ahead in this customer value chain. But I think everything will lead towards this one direction, which is this ecosystem. And you will do basically both. Some of your products you will look how to embed into another interfaces, and you will open your channels to your competitors or partners' products. And it all leads to this ecosystem. What is obviously clear is that this square is no option for anybody. So being here basically will mean that you are becoming obsolete. Why I can say this? Because this reminds let's look on first industrial revolution. What was before? Before there were so-called natural households. Yeah? So you were creating your own products, you were selling your own products. What this technology brought opportunity to specialize, to scale up. Yeah? So you created factories, but factories created your urbanization. Urbanization meant that you are doing specialization. So everybody is adding some part into value chain. You cannot anymore do everything yourself. Okay, there are some few amateur workshops around for exclusive things, but majority of industries are moving towards this, and this is happening now with digital economy as well. That from this, we are actually here. Everybody is using technology, trying to do things themselves. Where we are moving there. What will happen, I think we do not realize fully yet. It's big uncertainty, but it's certain that this is direction and that there is no U-turn possible. What it will mean for banking? Banking today is, as I said, yes, we are creating our own products, trying to sell inside our own houses. What will happen, and enabled by PSD2 direction, is that basically banking service will be brought into layers. There will be infrastructure layer, there will be service layer, there will be interface layer, and customers will be enabled to use still traditional channel, will use other channel to call up his new service, or use traditional channel to call up new service from competitor. So it's in a way kind of disintermediation of traditional value chains. But one thing is missing into this picture, and I think this is brought in by this GDPR directive. This is this trusted information operator, because customers are not looking now, instead of one service provider or 10 service providers engage in 200 relations and so on. Customers still are looking for simplicity, for less friction. So I think the role of trusted information operators is growing. And I think this is obviously, this could be very big potential for the banking. So banking should not control whole value chain, but this is what is critically important for us. And obviously many of those components, yeah, so paying attention to this picture. Now, if we are coloring, let's say, to Swedbank colors, everything should be orange in this picture. But now, if we look in the future, so we see less orange colors, but it shows another thing, that actually it creates, as well as it was highlighted by Estonian Banking Association, are customers aware? Are customers assessing all the risks? So let's imagine that what is most lucrative part in this picture? Obviously, customer interface. Everybody is after customer interface, because being in customer interface is being able to sell directly to customer, and obviously this is a highest margin in any value chain. You are controlling the final price. But let's say if at some point what is most lucrative in banking? It's daily banking. Most of fintechs are around daily banking. What if someday all transactions will be run only by fintech? okay, core services by banking. In a way, for customer, it could look like a dream option, because yes, you can choose anybody who can initiate your payment and so on. But the problem is not about technology, or challenge is not about technology. Challenge is about sustainability and about business models, because banking is not only by nature but as well by regulators pushed to very, I would say, sustainable business models. We should prove each year to European Central Bank that we have prudent business models, that we are able to run our services not only today but tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Now we know that not all, but very, very many of fintechs, they have a bit different thinking or different concept. They are based on, many of them are based on risk investment. So they are not caring so much of revenues of today or tomorrow, but of value of company in 2, 3, or 5 years. So, and some of them, or many of them, are dying. So let's imagine situation, this is a doomsday scenario, obviously, but still I think we need to assess it, that business models which are not sustainable for in short term are replaced with business models which are risk based on daily banking. So what if one day daily banking is fully run by risk business models? It could mean that one is dropping out of the picture, another is dropping out of the picture. So who is then responsible that today I can still manage my payments, that I can still access my current account? So I think this is creating big agenda or thinking agenda for regulators and in a way for everybody who is participating in this picture. So as I said, that obviously most lucrative part, if you divide all banking services, is initiating sales. So McKinsey has done studies and they concluded that if you split today's banking revenues into parts, which is product part and sales part, then sales part is bringing you 20% of return on equity. But if you are running only product house, then you can claim only 4.4% of ROE. Because obviously securing many of bank services needs as well quite a decent capital allocated. So and you cannot get so quick return. But this just only shows that yes, banking will be challenged on this interface part, on this daily banking part. But it obviously creates this risk of sustainability. So a few words in conclusion about the Baltic fintech and banking challenges. Obviously, challenge number one for anybody is to create the snowball effect. So if you have a new idea, so how quickly you can generate volume. So from one side, Baltic market is very good. So why some of things we can introduce so quickly? Because we probably need less spins of the snowball to capture the whole market. And but this is as well it creates a challenge, because the size of the market limits your global potential. So what is challenge of fintechs and banks in just each separate Baltic country is the shortness of runaway. So yes, we can build runaway during one night, as it was shown in Riga airport. So yeah, we are brave. We can create one runaway per night. But the length of this runaway is too short, because competition is becoming extremely global. And in this digital economy side, there are two very strong campuses. One is American campus, which is even called GAFA, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and another is Chinese campus, which is Baidu, Alipay, and Tencent. So GAFA versus BAT, where is Europe? Europe is not in a picture. And this is a huge risk that, okay, we will open now our infrastructure, and then with very high chance, maybe these are not fintechs who are taking fruits of it. Maybe these are those companies who will tomorrow run customer interface. Yes, and then we say that, okay, to support our fintechs and our banks, let's create regulatory and other sandboxes. But the challenge with sandboxes in Europe is that so far we are speaking about sandbox only in Latvia, sandbox only in Lithuania, and sandbox only in Estonia. So, and each has some national twist. Also, it helps for the first step, but it's not enough. I would claim that yes, we need sandbox, but we need European-sized sandbox to match those guys who are today they are busy fighting in India actually. So Europe is saved today. So yes, nowadays they are fighting, but when war will be over in India, I think they can come here, and our future will be very interesting. And the last but not the least thing, I think this is the ultimate challenge. So one was, yes, to get scale faster than you are running out of money. But most important issue to keep and maybe even increase is issue of trust. So far, I think with in different years, maybe with different success, but banking has secured trust towards keeping money with banks and keeping your wealth with the banks and trusting economy of each state. But world where we see less and less ultimately responsible players, this can actually jeopardize the whole setup. So I think if you are looking for one thing to keep, preserve, and enhance, this is a trust. And technology is only the means. Technology is not the goal. Goal is still the trust. So that was it.
Hello, good morning. My name is Mart Maasik, and I'm coming from this house, actually, and the same time from SEB. And my role is about Innovation Lab for SEB. And what I'm going to tell and share my thoughts about a bit further, what Kirst thought about it, how the world looks like around us. I try to step maybe one step closer to the reality, how we do that, how we handle that complexity. And we'll share some of the views, point of views, what we have learned so far and what we believe how the future is going to look like. So, and my background as well, I'm actually also coming from the Baltics. I'm Estonian, but have been 16 years in the bank in SEB, and same time also been entrepreneur, founder of the 6 different companies, and also try to be closer to the entrepreneurial ecosystem still today. But yes, 2 last years I have been here for innovation topics in SEB. Coming back to the one step back, I think it's our bank purpose. And if you're looking at it really closely, I think what we're saying that we are bank for entrepreneurial minds and innovative companies. So it means that the promise what we're giving out for the market and for our customers, how we can deliver that promise and how we can keep that promise, that's really important of us. And understanding about what is innovation was 20, 50 years ago a bit different than it is today. So it's becoming harder and harder to keep that promise for us. So that's why I think it's about how we deal with internally of it. Thanks to that, I think it's the kind of 4 things that I would like to focus on today, that how we handle it. And I think it's really hard to predict that to the 2025 perspective. But that's the horizon that something needs to be there. And there is 4 key beliefs. First of all, we believe that everything around the customers, that's really becoming really important from the understanding how customers interact with us. So the bit of it that already Girs mentioned about it, but I think it's customer driven, really. It's not about our business driven. So that's the biggest change that's going to happen. Katrin referred a lot of regulations, so that will go further, no question at all. So that it's there for us to accept and to rely on. At the same time, yes, it's opening up a lot of new opportunities as well. So as we talked about it. And competitors, we believe that yes, competition as landscape will change a lot around us. So we are not competing each other between the current existing banks, but we need different type of competition around us. And the technology components, which impacting of it. So those are the four things. And I think talking about the future and talking about the technology and digitalization, I think we have to understand the context of all of those fours. So if we're zooming in separately, then I think we don't understand how the impacts are interrelated with each other. So that is the cycle that we believe that it's important to bear in mind all that perspective. And we really believe that's the starting point of everything. Whatever innovation is, it starts always with the customers. It starts always with the people. So that's the part of it. Coming back to the SEB history, and that's the part of it really that we have been in quite a long time, and it's about entrepreneurship, and that's always all those industrial revolutions and all those changes that as driven by entrepreneurs. That's not driven by the society itself, but that's the people who don't know how the future look like, but they will go and figure it out. So that's the really important part of it, and that's the spirit that today's companies has to keep in our minds. So then I think you can do it. Looking a bit of not so long history, I think yes, digitalization as such is nothing new for the banks from that point of view. We have been in the digitalization field already many decades, so more than 50 years, I could say. But I think there is some interesting part of it if you're thinking about what's going on from the user point of view, that even the same functionality, if you're comparing the internet bank and mobile banking, so it's 2013, 14. So the functionality is more or less the same. But we are not providing the new type of services, but number of the visits, number of the interactions, that has increased dramatically. So it means that the same functionality, same banking services, new technology enabling in different way to access to it. So that is the part of it. We are not changing the core, we are not changing the banking services as such, but we are giving the different type of access to that. And when we're looking for SEB like a home page, whatever other banks home page, some 2-3 years ago, now we're becoming closer to today world. Some 2, 3, 4 years ago, we started to see that type of environment around us. So those are different fintechs, different service providers who are able to deliver similar pieces of our services that we are doing from the banking side. So then they do a lot of good things. And yes, it's about the trust, it's about longevity, it's about credibility, but they are there. So that's a fact. And that was quite a scary picture, I think, for the banks 3-4 years ago. And we said, okay, now it's over. They're eating our lunch, and then there is nothing left for us. So that was the momentum that we a bit of felt some years ago. But if you're zooming in, so then I think it's about the core and a bit of the same structure, that there are the core is there, but I think still there is the battle which is going around it, and that's not so much for the core, and that's the trust about of it. So even you build a new layer on top of that, so who will interact with the customers. So still that is the part of it, and what we figured out after the 2-3 years ago, have seen that scary picture that those companies not are those ones who will eat our lunch. Those are the companies actually who help us to create the better customer experience together. So that is the part of it that really believe that together we can deliver that world-class service. So we cannot deliver our own, so we cannot do it in our silos. So it's about those companies who inspire us, who maybe push us to understand a bit more what's the valuable, and then deliver it together with the customers. So that is the loop that we created of it. So and that really believe that we together we can really deliver that kind of new world-class service that we're promising out for customers. Zooming into the SEB context a bit more, so that's how the digitalization picture, how we look at it. So and in the middle and in the center is the customer. Everything starts from the customer. So whatever we do, it's for the customers and driven by the customers. The connectivity is about those interfaces. So how we interacting with the customers. Is it the internet bank? Is it about some kind of AI agents? So how we're connecting to services. Another layer what we work a lot now is about automation. So how the processes are behind the scenes defined and delivered. So we have a lot of opportunities to be more effective, to be much more smarter, much more personalized, because this automation combination with the connectivity, actually that helps to personalize the services. So if you're not integrated those layers, you can deliver the same service for any customers in the same way, but combining it, this automation with the interfaces, then you can deliver new type of experiences out of it. And then it's all about the data. So I think the understanding about the huge amount of data that we have in the banks, there is not lack of the data. There is, and there was the understanding in the big data topics came that how we handle that complexity. So there is a lot of the data, and we don't know where it is, and we don't know how to structure it. But now I think the technologies are becoming enough mature that we know how to handle it. And then that's also making another layer of the personalization of the services that they can deliver to the customers. And of course, the part of it, it's always about the change. So whatever you do with the core, you have to keep the machine running, but you have to be inspired, so that we really believe that you have to bring new perspectives into that model constantly. And that's why we created 2.5 years ago two like separate initiatives. Actually, SEB Venture Capital has been up and running more than 20 years, but before that we didn't have mandate to invest to the fintechs. But now we have mandate to invest to the fintechs. We have done 8 investments, which is announced now. For different fintechs, and especially it's not about return on investment. That's not the main goal for doing that, but actually it's rather about learning. It's about doing things together and understanding how the future is going to look like. If we do it separately, then actually we don't understand it, how deeply. We can see the layer, we can see the nice presentations, but we do not know how we do it. Important is about the culture, about the mindset which is there. So, and that we need actually to run and to keep that wheel going. So, and the second part, which is innovation lab, is about employee innovation. Because if you compare us with those fintechs, there are the teams of the 10, and they're super powerful and super good, but we have the 15,000 employees in SEB. So it means, you imagine what is the asset that we have. Actually, we have a lot of people with the bright minds, with the great experiences, with a lot of knowledge from the past, and how we can put those people more in entrepreneurial mind, help to innovate, help to understand how the future looks like. So that's why we created the Innovation Lab, which is especially focusing on internal employee innovation. I will a bit zoom into that. So, and I think the point is that it's not about the technology, it's about like how we're using it. So, and I think the innovation itself, it's really kind of like fluffy word. And Eric Ries, who is the author of the Lean Startup, which is more or less the Bible for building the new companies and startups, saying that you cannot come with the innovation from top down, that here is the technology, let's do it. It's coming from the bottom up, and you never know from where it's coming from. So it means that you have to be open, you have to be really good listener to understand from where it's coming, and you have to make a lot of experiments. So you don't know. There is not the opportunity to put the safe bets. It's rather about number of experimentation. One of my professors in Stanford University also saying that, and made a deep research about 44,500 companies, that you cannot plan the future. You have to, and it's really hard to do it again, even though those companies who have done it once. It's rather about number of experiments that you do leads to you to the better future. Even the really successful companies about the Amazon and so on, Google even, I think super good business model, super profitable, but building this second product of the Google has been taking like the 20 years actually, more or less from the beginning of it, or 15 years. So it's really hard. The number of the experiments that you do leads to you for the better future. And we really truly believe that you cannot do it internally in our house, in your own building. Even you bring in your people, your best knowledge, you have to be really close to the society. And that's why I think we also moved here. You see the same picture, I think, here. No, it's all wall. That's there. Later on, you will see that's the same. This epicenter. So in that building is more than 300 companies, 3,000 employees from Spotify, from iSettle, from a lot of different companies, and that's the place where our innovation lab looks like, and we're running together with the founders of Epicenter. And what we do with employees, it's about everyone from SEB can step on the stage for the 60 seconds, say, I have this idea, I would like to make it happen. I would like to build a prototype out of it. That's the first part of it, and the top management is selecting the teams who will get access to Innovation Lab. We have the first 6 weeks when they're iterating from idea until the first prototype, and then we also review the demo day, how they have done, and then we give access to the second 6 weeks. So far, during the Innovation Lab, we have been more than 1,000 people have been here, and 250 people been in the 12 weeks program. And we have figured it out that out of the 45 teams, 12 implementation. And why we do, it's really critical that as we don't know how the future look like, then it means that we cannot make right decisions about the future. We cannot, there is a lot of great ideas and a lot of obligations, a lot of mandatory stuff what we should do, but how to prioritize, what we will focus and what is not so in the focus, that we don't know. And the lab is really the right place where you can try out. Really small time box, 12 weeks, you can figure it out, you can collect the data. Based on what you can make smarter decisions. And secondly, everything what we deliver has to deliver the customer's value. So you can measure in really early stage. It's not about building the new project. You are not building like long development projects. And then you're figuring out that did we deliver value for the customers, yes or no. Actually, you can understand it quite early stage. So and you can make those experiments. And even the last and the third most important topic is about it's about the culture. It's about the people. It's about the mindset. How those fintechs, how those startups operating compare with the classical corporations. We have optimized and made the most focus to be efficient and meet all the criteria to be the kind of for that shareholder economy criteria. But actually, we have opted out a bit of our own creativity and our own way of try out things. So I think we are not experimenting too much. I think that is the culture that most of corporates actually today missing. And how to bring it back, that's the part of really key of it. And yes, that's the bit of like the facts and figures about the ideas. And for example, one of idea which also came to the Innovation Lab was how become SEB customers digitally. Don't visit branches, you can actually come it remotely. So that was also born here. Always you know your customer regulations, test and so on. We figured it out and how to do it, and we deliver it. Secondly, also there is some of examples how we, with the same Innovation Lab and fintech community, that if we believe that there is some idea which is really valuable for the customers, we have made early stage tests. Also, we understand that sometimes maybe we are not the smartest ones and not the best ones to implement it. So it means that the implementation might happen with the partnership with some external partners. And then one example was about like the corporate ledger analytics tool, that how you can analyze corporate financials not in automated ways. So then we invested into the one fintech thanks to that. So that is the number of experiments that we do, and that's lead to us. And when really like, zooming out, there is like we can say that there is 3 different types of opportunities for innovation. So really insight driven. You can say that the iPhone was there. That yes, the people need different interaction, and that's that different interface. So and it goes so, and you can say, but most of and there is the technology driven innovations, you can say, but most of the opportunities are here. So and really they are not like disruptive innovations, but they are like the improving everyday life, removing those customers' pains. And most of those fintechs actually also relies on that sector. They are not willing to turn around the world. It's impossible. But what they can do really small things, but super well. So and they're removing those customers' pain. And if you do it really well, it might grow bigger. So all the big things has started at the beginning of and in the middle. So in a really small scale, and it's about the customers. So understanding deeply what customers are facing and what are really the pain. They're not maybe sometimes ready to formulate and phrase it, but they always they have those pains. And our role here is to discover which one they are, and then technology help us to solve it. So that is the kind of the part of it that we are not looking to big radical changes here in the lab. We are not so much looking for the technology as such. Of course, it's enabling, but that's driven rather about the customer's pains that we really believe. And when coming to the back to referring to same disruption curve about technology, which is really goes so that it's enabling a lot of great things. But what happened really, the reality is so that the individual's business and the societies is not accelerating with the same pace. So the gap is widening. And that's the hard part of it. The technology itself is really great. You can do a lot of things, but the key is about how you bring people, how you onboard people, how you putting the technology use of the people. And by definition, there are some individuals. They are more faster. They are more flexible. Businesses has to be a bit more conservative to keep in the business, to keep all the longevity. So they cannot take those risks. And the society and public opinion, that's the last one actually. So and that's the part of it. So and I think our role bit of it here is that how we can help to put that technology to serve the society and part of it to close the gap bit of it. So because the opportunities are there, and sometimes you can skip some technology development phases. So then you can jump further on. So it's high jump and long jump, but you can do that so that you don't have to go on the same that we will implement all the technologies for all the businesses. No, you can skip many of them. But understand by knowing how they're impacting the people, really you understand the value of it, and then the ultimate goal is that we cannot only be individualistic. We cannot only focus on the business, but we have to focus on all the society level, understanding how this technology serves us around us. So then I think we're doing well, and then the bright future is there. So technology goes really quickly. So yeah, quicker and quicker. Organizations changing slower. So that's really part of it. Then that's the fact. And then the culture is the last part of it. And even some people are saying that you cannot change the culture. But I really believe it's possible. And I think we need to do that because the way how corporates operating, that's not sustainable. So we cannot be so slow. We cannot be so perfect. So we have to have more entrepreneurial and experimental minds. Then we can figure it out what really makes sense for the customers. Otherwise, we are always behind the curve. So and then how you can quick it up. So and I think it's kind of metaphor. So it's about Trojan horse, like in the innovation lab case as well. That we will bring those employees to the innovation lab. They will get the understanding how to build the companies from idea to the prototype. And then we will send it back to the bank, and then internally they will use it again and again. Even the more important KPI from Innovation Lab, what we're measuring is about not so much about how many things we're implementing, which coming out of the lab. And I always saying that even the more important is that if innovation happening only in the lab, then we're not doing well. If innovation happening outside of the lab, then we're doing well. So that's the mindset of it. So and then we are measuring the people who are coming here, with whom we are working here, what they do after the innovation lab is over. Do they use technology again and again? Do they put in daily practice? And then more than 90% saying yes, they're doing it. So that's the kind of the main goal for having it. And then I think we can really change the culture of it. And really about the future, I think it's about the collaboration. Yes. We have to have the employees who do that having that kind of mindset and skill set for being entrepreneurs and discover and test and understanding what are the customers' pains. We have to do it together with the customers. We cannot do it linearly, separately. And then, yes, we need the partners. So it means that there might be the fintechs, but it also might be like the society-related different partners. And even what we're saying that maybe the world-class service is not the world-class banking service. It might be something different. So there we don't see so like clear line between the financial services and other type of services. So that's becoming more and more blurry in the future. So we have to do it, and there is the journey. So there is not that it's never ready. There is not that wave is over. Now we can be normal again. No, that's never happened. It's becoming more complexity, more crazy, and harder to understand. But I think we need a different kind of skill set and mindset to handle it, and that's what I really believe that we can deliver that world-class service out of it. So that's the viewpoint, how we believe that how we can handle that complexity, and how we really believe that the people are behind the technology, people are behind the great service. That's the key and number one thing to bear in mind. So, and we have to educate our own people and also society to handle that complexity. Thank you.